Hello, and welcome to another episode of Character Forge. My name is Leigh Owens, your character smith for today, and joining me once again is my wonderful husband Tyler, who will be our character artist. Today, we are going to be building a male Dragonborn. I've said before that rogues are my favorite class in D&D 5th edition, in general, honestly. I just love how well they lend themselves to my favorite sort of playstyle, quiet, quick, and deadly. While rogues often tend to be a bit of a glass cannon, my all-time favorite character archetype is the dashing rogue, and the great charisma tends to make others, want to keep my squishy skin safe. This time I'm not actually making a dashing rogue, so much as it just worked out that rogue seemed to be the class that made the most sense for the character I had in mind, so let's get started! We will start with our stats. And as always, I always appreciate your patience as I count these up since I'm so slow. Let's see here. Whoop. 2 5s is 10. 2 makes 12. Okay, that's 12 plus 3 is 15. Whoop. Oh, that's essentially the same roll, so 15 again. Let's see here. No, that looks like it's going to be our first... No, that's not a negative. That's 4, not a 3. So 4 and 1 plus 5 is 10. Okay, I guess 10 is average. Yeah, there it is. Geez, an 8. And 10 and 4 is 14. I guess this isn't the worst set of rolls. Alright, I'll jot these along the side of the character sheet, and this is normally the place where I decide on a race. Given the kind of character I want to do, a dwarf would absolutely make sense, but there's 2 reasons I don't want to be a dwarf. The first is that I just don't really like dwarves. It's harder for me to separate the stereotype of grumpy little man with a superiority complex that makes him super racist from dwarves than it is for me to parse other stereotypes from other races. And speaking of stereotypes, since the background I'm thinking of involves goldsmithing, it's just a little too cliche for me to make my character a dwarf, so I'm thinking I want to do something else. What I'm thinking is that my goldsmith will need strength and dexterity to make his works, and also a little charisma in the form of creativity. Not only do Dragonborn get a bonus to strength and charisma, but who knows gold better than a dragon? So we'll make my character a golden Dragonborn. Now, as for his class...
A golden Dragonborn?
Yeah.
I'll kind of like give him a Fu Manchu or something. There. That's a Fu Manchu. I don't care what anybody else says about it.
Is it dangly?
Yes.
It's a Fu Manchu. Now, as for his class, just as a dragon knows gold better than anyone else, no class is apt to be familiar with gold as a rogue. You could argue that a smith, best in strength, would be better off as a fighter or a barbarian or some other strength-based class, but I like the idea of a single-minded focus on gold, on knowing and understanding it, more than any other point in goldsmithing, so we're going with the rogue. Also, rogues are cool, and that's what I want to play. Alright, so let's assign those ability scores. I'll make wisdom my dump stat, since it'll make sense with the backstory I want, and I don't need wisdom. Charisma can be a 15, as the race gives me 1, so that's 16 total. If I make strength 12, the race boosts it up to 14, which is pretty good for a smith. And then we can put the other 15 in dex and worry about boosting it later, and that just leaves picking between constitution and intelligence for the 10 and 14. Rogues tend to be squishier anyway, and I'm used to playing them that way, and I hate having both intelligence and wisdom be low because of the useful associated skills. A smith might have better than average constitution, but he also might not. And I like the idea of my smith being a bit clever and a bit stupid simultaneously, so we'll do 10 in constitution and 14 in intelligence. I'll fill in a...
What was the wisdom again?
8.
Okay.
I mean, that's gonna change when I level up.
Well, it's written in stone now.
Oh. Okay. I'll fill in a few less exciting details. Speed's 30. I'll write a vague N for alignment, flesh that out later. As a gold dragon, I get fire resistance and a fire breath weapon. Hey, that works out even better than I thought for a smith. My breath weapon should have a DC of 11 with an 8 plus my proficiency modifier, which will be 3, plus my constitution modifier is 0, and I speak common and draconic. Alright, on to the class. I'll be a level 8 rogue, which is where I'm getting the 3 for the proficiency bonus. Let's see, I get a D8 for hit points, and I'll just take the average since only a fool consistently rolls unless they're playing a barbarian or maybe one of the D10 classes.
I too like to live dangerously.
With 8 for my first level and 5 for my next 7. 7 times 5 is 35 plus 8 is 43.
Yes.
43 hit points, not terrible. Not great, but will probably live. Take a few moments to jot down my proficiencies here. Light armor, simple weapons, hand crossbows, long and short swords, rapiers, and thieves' tools. Dex and intelligence are my saving throws, and I get to pick 4 skills from the rogue list. As a smith, I'll want persuasion for dealing with merchants. Perception makes sense for my craft as does sleight of hand, getting fine details into my work, and intimidation might be good, but so could insight. Insight's one of my favorite skills, and I like the kind of person it indicates my rogue might be, to be proficient in insight even when he's not all that wise. So I'll go with that. Also, I already have persuasion, so I don't need intimidation. To start, I'll pick up a rapier, a short sword, and explorer's pack, and I get leather armor, 2 daggers, and set thieves' tools. I'll get some more equipment when I pick my background. So the first ability, besides expertise, which I'll worry about later, that rogues pick up is sneak attack. At 8th level, my sneak attack damage is 4d6. I also pick up Thieves' Cant, which I might discuss with the DM to reskin to be more about tradesman work, but for now I'll just jot it down as is. 2nd level gives me Cunning Action. 3rd is Roguish Archetype. Taking a look at Xanathar's Guide, one of the new archetypes is Inquisitive. While this archetype might not seem to fit with my theme of a gold-focused goldsmith, Inquisitives have an eye for detail. That's literally one of their traits, and the idea of a quiet, watchful goldsmith who susses out the truth, the purity of his knowledge parallel to the purity of his gold, that's just an appealing picture to me. This archetype could also be a nice lead-in to how our goldsmith found himself wrapped up in adventure as a rogue rather than making jewelry. An Inquisitive gains 3 abilities at 3rd level and none more until 9th. The 3 abilities are Eye for Deceit, Eye for Detail, and Insightful Fighting, which respectively allow me to treat a 7 or lower on an insight roll as an 8, use a bonus action to make a perception roll to find a hidden creature or an investigation roll to find or decipher clues, and allow me to use a bonus action to make an insight roll versus deception to gain sneak attack versus a creature against whom I do not have advantage nor disadvantage. You always get to have sneak attack as long as you have advantage against a creature. So if I don't have advantage, but I don't have disadvantage, then I can get the chance to be able to still have a sneak attack. At 5th level, rogues gain Uncanny Dodge, one of my favorite abilities for protecting my own squishy hide and reducing damage from attacks. And level 7 gains us Evasion, likewise a useful ability for reducing Dex save-based attack damage. That leaves level 4 and 8's ability modifier increases. I don't want to make any of my nice even stats odd, so I'll look for a feat that will increase my dexterity. There's Athlete, which also makes it so I only use 5 feet of movement to get up when prone, climb at full speed, and only need 5 feet to make any kind of running jump instead of 10. I'll take that. For my next ability increase... I think I'll take 2 points in con. That'll raise my hit points by 8, bringing my total to... Tyler, 43 plus 8 is 51, right?
That is correct.
Thanks. With my stats at a total of 14, 16, 12, 14, and 8, and 16, I can confidently say that my AC is at 14, my hit points are 51, and my passive perception is 12. Let's fill in the background now. It will not surprise you that I'm flipping directly to Guild Artesian. The background gives me proficiency in Insight and Persuasion, both of which I picked as a rogue, so flipping back, I'll pick Deception and Investigation instead. Investigation seems to match the whole Inquisitive archetype I've got going on. I become proficient in 1 set of Artesian tools, so I'll pick Goldsmithing. I get to pick a language, and as a renowned smith, I probably have to talk to those oh so proud they think they're the best smiths dwarves a lot, so I'll pick Dwarvish. I get a set of artisan's tools. I'd pick goldsmith stuff again, but that would involve an entire forge, which I doubt I'm carrying around. You're drawing that now, right?
Well, yeah.
Okay, great. So I'll pick a jeweler's kit instead, which I'm sure Tyler finds hilarious, given the fact that we, in a different campaign, had a player who was proficient in a jeweler's kit, and we were all like, jeweler's kit? That's so random. That's never going to come in handy. Lo and behold, there's this king who's got this corrupted jewel stuck on his back, and yeah, it did come in handy. You never know, man. Anyway, I've got a letter of introduction for my guild, a set of traveler's clothes, and 15 gold. I also gained the feature guild membership. If I pay 5 gold a month to my guild for guild dues, or pay back dues if I forget or don't manage to pay it, then the whole guild will back me up as I travel, providing lodging and food, or defending me if accused of a crime where I have a case I'm innocent, or granting me access to rub elbows with the rich and important. Honestly, the fact that you have to pay an upkeep makes sense, but kind of sucks as far as a background benefit in this case, but whatever.
Yeah. That does not actually look like a bellows. This is 100%.
Just draw, like, that Pokemon, the one that Whismur evolves into, that bellows. That pun was beautiful and you need to laugh. There's just a few other details to jot down. My initiative bonus is +3. My primary weapon, my rapier, has a +6 to hit and does 1d8 +3 damage. Likewise, my short sword is +6 to hit and does 1d6 +3 damage, which means I'll probably never use it. I should pick up a hammer of some kind for the whole smith thing. I don't want a warhammer, so I can pick up one for 1 gold, and it's not a weapon. I still need to pick 4 skills for expertise now that I have all my proficiencies. I'll do perception, insight, persuasion, and I'll ask my DM to let me double proficiency in my smith tools. Ordinarily, a rogue can only take double proficiency in thieves' tools or an ability, so I'd have to have my DM's permission. Since this character is just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and mark that down, however. And, of course, I need a name. Let's go with Zulag. Tyler, you're spelling it wrong. I can tell without even looking.
Well, I'm not quite spelling it yet, but let's...
I can tell before you even write it down.
Let's see. K.
Okay, X.
So there's yeah, okay, that's what I was saying. There's only one letter that I think is possibly wrong, and it was that one.
X-U-A-H-L-A-G. Zulag.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well...
So...
you aspirated vowels.
I'll not apologize for art. So I bet you can tell I had a distinct vision in mind for who Zulag is from the moment I started building him. Zulag was a renowned goldsmith, one who was particularly proud in his craft. While he was at the forefront of members in his guild, this brought less joy to his guild than it ought to have due to the rampant jealousy that a dragonborn, not a dwarf, was one of the most talented members. As Zulag used a secret technique passed down from his dragon ancestry, he was able to create exquisite works of art and jewelry.
Okay, just don't mind me.
Okay. When the call to create a gift for a Fey Lord came to the guild, Zulag saw the assignment falling to him as a great honor rather than a trap. His guild respected him as one of their finest. They must if they asked him to make the trinket. However, he didn't have the background research to know how wily, cruel, and finicky the Fey Lord was. The Lord loved his work at first, then hated it, then loved it again, and then decided he didn't want Zulag to make jewelry for anyone else. When Zulag tried to explain that he had to make a living and couldn't just make finery for the Fey placed a terrible curse on him, one meant to make all that he created undesirable. At that point, he made sure that he knew everything about every client moving forward, but it was a little bit too late. The curse was that everything Zulag created from then on would bear its own curse. When he finished a brand new ring, the next person to try it on found they couldn't take it off and could no longer taste. The next time someone tried on a circlet, they went blind until a cleric could purge the curse long enough to get the thing off, and even then, the circlet remained cursed. No matter how hard Zulag tried to keep his smithy clean of magic, wherever he finished a new trinket, it bore a curse. The beauty of Zulag's craft was hardly diminished in sight, but no one would buy his wares for fear of the curses inevitably attached to them. Zulag was forced to close up shop and go seeking for an answer to his new problem. to free himself of this terrible fate. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the craft of zoologue, and thank you for my darling husband. Thank you for your innovative art.
This is a masterpiece, and I don't even know that I need to finish it like in the other program. I think this speaks for itself.
I hope you'll still join us this Friday when we do something about fish or whatever. Until then, keep those forges lit.